Okay, jumping into our Creative Performance Index product. So, as Mike mentioned, this is our product really around helping our clients understand what components of creative are actually working. So, how it works is we link directly to your ad platform, so whether that be TikTok, Meta, Google, and what we can essentially do is pull out all of the creatives that you have within those ad platforms and combine them with all of the performance data that we see within those. From that, what we're able to do is use AI to label up all these different components that are occurring within a creative and understand which are actually correlated to better performance in that ad account. So you can see some examples here where we're looking at the concept, product orientated, that seems to be doing better for this client. 3 scenes or more is doing better. Having music is a positive effect for the media performance, but having no special offer or studio shots are actually not doing as well as some other components. So this is the kind of analysis. It really helps our clients understand what's actually working. There's also functionality within the tool to give pre-flight predictive recommendations, which I'm going to show you in a second. Similarly, there's the ability to get competitive intelligence, understand what your competitors are doing. And with this tool, what we're able to do is use this insight to fuel our creative roadmap and our creative testing, as well as some intelligent ways to leverage this data to really help prove out and measure the incremental value of creative on bottom line performance, which historically is a struggle. So I'm going to quickly jump in now to the demo. And first thing we're going to do within the demo, just quickly log in. I'm borrowing my colleague Vanessa's login here, not using mine. And what I'm going to show you first is our pre-flight analysis. So for those of you familiar with Google's ABCD framework, you might be familiar with how this works. We use insights and creative golden rules to understand what's doing better. The problem with those kind of tools is that they don't really give a lot of context about the brand, where they're at the stage in the brand journey, or what the campaign goal is. So that's what we're hoping to tackle with this tool. So quickly show you how it works. We're going to choose an asset and upload an asset. We can do up to 50 at once. We're going to just do 1 for now. I'm going to do this on behalf of our client, tails.com. And this is where we're going to feed in all the important metadata. So we know that the brand status of it is a niche player. Our objective for our campaign is consideration and interest. We want to target enthusiasts, so pet owners, and we know what the funnel stage for this campaign is. So now I'm going to run our creative audit. We're going to run that analysis, and there we go. So this is our overall score is 9.8. I wish all of our creatives were that good. Sadly, it's not always the case. And break that score down into 5 components: visual, sound, action, emotion, and relevance. You can see we've scored perfectly on everything except visual. So let's look into why that's actually happened. So I can click through. I'm only looking at one creative here, but you would actually see all 50 if you did 50 in one go. But let's get the details on this one. And you can see we've performed perfectly on everything except for the fact that the logo is really small and in the top right corner hidden away. So this will immediately give us insight that to improve the quality of this creative, we can just change that. We're able to download these insights via PDF or CSV and share them with our team. So that's the pre-flight. What I'm now going to show you is the cooler part, arguably, which is the actual CPI live when it's connected to your ad accounts. So first, you can see all your creatives, you can play them, you can see some top-level data, we can see where there's maybe ad fatigue and scope to save spend, and even see some of the best combinations of components of a creative at the top view. Over here, you can see your CPI score across your account and all your different campaigns. So again, here we can identify campaigns where potentially there's scope to improve the creative and test out more variants. You can also see some of the other headline things here. You can switch it from ROAS to CTR as your key performance metric, and we'll come back to the competitor dashboard in a minute. But the next thing I want to show you, which is kind of the lifeblood of the system, which is the features tab. So this is where, again, you can see of all the components we've tagged up, all the different features, whether the character age is a child or an adult or a grandparent or whatever it may be. These are all the different things that we pick out. And on the outperform picks tab that we're on right now is where we're seeing the best possible version of all those different features. If you go into the hook scene, the core scene, the end card, you can see specifically for those different scenes. And in the all tab, you can see all the data that's coming through, all the different components and how they've performed. But we're focusing here on the top performing things, the outperform picks. And here you can see all the different metrics you have. You can add different columns, you can sort, you can filter, you can do everything that you might ever want to do, and really get your hands on all this data, which is driving your performance. Next tab, we're going to go look at the creatives. And even just seeing all of your creatives mapped out like this across your account as an ad library with all the spend and all the performance metrics surrounding it, even before we get in the AI components, is something really useful for a lot of brands. I know this isn't that easy to see across the ad platforms themselves. So even just being able to view this is great. But what we can also do is click into any one of these ads and find out a little bit of information about it. What are those components within the creative? How are they performing? How could they be better? So again, we can see the top level information at the top. We can even play the individual video should we wish. And then again, over here on the right, you can see all the different tags that are actually within that particular creative. You can see a timeline. So if you want to analyze all the different scenes, combine that with the view through elements, you can really do that in-depth analysis. And of course, you can change all your time ranges. Drill down, you can see where it's appearing in your ad accounts. And then in this trends tab, you can see how things are trending over time and spot any potential issues with fatigue. Here we are at the competitor tab, as I mentioned before. So this is a really useful tool where you can pick up to 5 competitors to track what they're doing within their creative. So anytime a new creative gets added to their ad accounts, we'll be able to identify that and pull that through. And what we're doing is the same level of analysis on our competitor creatives as we're doing on our own creatives as well. So we're looking at all those different tags that they're using. Unfortunately, we can't see the performance data for our competitors. Would be nice if we could. But what we can do is compare that to the tabs that we're using and see if we're missing a trick for anything that they're doing. And of course, we can filter it all by country, by competitor, etc., etc. Couple of final things to show you on the CPI. We have our report section. We're constantly growing these out. But if you ever want any kind of exec level reporting to be able to provide to anyone within your teams, you can easily generate these, switch from ROAS to CTR as your key KPI, and export these. But a very useful tool when sharing insights to people who don't necessarily want to go into all the details. And that is it. So it's obviously a really amazing tool, and these insights in themselves are super useful, but we don't want this to just be seen as a product that you just sit on the side and leverage those insights. You really need to invest into a wider program to get the true value out of this. So firstly, what we're able to help clients do is make sure that we are tagging up the right things to be looked at via AI. So, if you have a specific creative strategy or account structure or product taxonomy, we want to reflect that in the way that we're setting things up, because me telling you that a woman in the creative works better on women's wear campaigns versus your men's wear campaigns, you don't really need the AI for that. So we really want to set it up so you can get all the useful insights, what camera angle is working better, what colors are working better, what call to action. All of these things we can help across multiple platforms. Secondly, we're really here to help develop those creative testing roadmaps in partnership with the CPI, because one, we want our clients to have the best possible CPI score, really tailoring their creative to what's working. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that you haven't tested yet that we can feed into building the depth of that CPI score by balancing that out. So really balancing that testing framework with growing the CPI over time is really a useful thing that the tool can help you with. And finally, these CPI insights can be really useful in different activation channels. So firstly, these CPI insights can be immediately pipelined into any kind of Gen AI creative workflows that you have, or even any non-Gen AI, normal, old school creative workflows. We can help you build out the creatives that's really working. And then finally, that CPI score that we can track over time as a time series, we can really correlate that to your underlying business performance to really help clients understand the true incremental impact of creative. So what that means is essentially we can plug that into an MMM model the exact same way we might plug in media channels. We can run causal impact analyses and really help our brands get to the point where they know if they have 100 grand to spend, how much of that should they be investing in media and what types of media, versus how much of that should they be investing in creative and what types of creative. We can help advise them how best to use that spend to generate maximum possible returns with this tool, which is, again, one of the age-old challenges that I've been coming up against my whole career.